We'll see how much it was him. We'll see how much it was his thumb injury or what we can suspect was a thumb injury or was his thumb injury. He obviously had one. And we'll see how much of it was actually on him versus the receivers versus, everything else. So literally his first pass of the season, 25-yard line. I'm not sure if it's first or second down, whatever it may be, but this is quite literally the very first pass of the year. Which should have went for a 75-yard touchdown for Aaron Rodgers. Middle, checks left with Sammy Watkins, sees an off defender that he doesn't want to throw against. He has pretty good leverage. Goes to the top of the screen where he sees Christian Watson streaking down the sideline with 5 yards of room. Again, safety, check him into Watson's breadbasket. You couldn't put it in a better spot right there to start off the season with a 75-yard touchdown for Aaron Rodgers, and it's a drop. Aaron Rodgers hesitant with a question mark. Okay, so let's watch from here. Play action, roll. Yeah, no, that's a hard spot. So as he goes to play action, I don't necessarily love like the delay here to hand it off and then flip around, because at that point, you have it almost looks like a sail concept where you have a corner or a flood, a corner, another crosser, and then a underneath read. So you have your deep, your intermediate, and your short. By the time Aaron Rodgers turns to throw this ball, I'm sure he's reading 1 to 2 here. So he's reading 1 at this point. And by the time he gets to 2, there's already a defender in his face, or just in general, there's a defender in his face. So then he pulls the ball down and throws it out of bounds. So I wouldn't say overly hesitant. I don't love the whole fake there. Roll out, read right. Looks like he goes to his middle now. Could he plant and throw it? Sure, he's going to take a big shot. It's pretty early in the game. Decides to throw the ball out of bounds. Maybe in an ideal world, we can argue, okay, well, get through that one read quickly and then plant and fire to 2. But it's a really tough ask, right, at that point. So Rodgers, miscommunication, Cobb, hesitant to flat. Okay. So we have a quads look here, 4x1 to the field here. Yeah, not his best decision here, obviously. Looks like he reads left side first, and this is first down. So if he was looking into the flat, why he doesn't throw that is something that he'd have to tell you. Now, obviously, he is more of an aggressive guy, so he wants to go for a little bit deeper shots typically, but this is not the one to take, right? So he looks towards the flat. There's really not a reason not to throw that ball unless he just wants more, which, okay, he wants more, but at the end of the day, 5 yards on 1st and 10 to 2nd and 5 is not the worst idea in the world. He then has a crosser from Cobb, which Cobb cuts it vertical to try to get away from this defender. He doesn't want to take it into pressure. You have Rodgers, who rolls out to the left, throwing across his body, just chucks the ball up with the defender, gaining or with a defender under the ball and Harrison Smith, and he just chucks it up for Cobb. This is something we don't typically see from Rodgers, but read deep, read the left. Not sure why he doesn't throw the flat there. Maybe it's because the flat's not looking. Regardless, rolls out, doesn't want the flat anymore, sees Cobb. I think he sees Cobb start to break it vertically with him coming downhill and assumes Cobb's going to get behind him and into a better spot to catch that ball. Throws across his body. Again, plenty of arm talent there to get that ball. Probably would have went to the 30-yard line from the, let's say, 15 while rolling out and across his body. So we're talking about 35, 50-yard throw across his body, rolling out opposite. Again, not the best decision by Aaron Rodgers to chuck this ball up, but I'm assuming that he thought Cobb was going to get to a spot he didn't, and I assumed he thought that the safety would be in a spot that he wasn't. So don't want to do that, right? Okay. AR hesitant on first read. Okay, so now we have 3x2 empty to the boundary or to the field. Yeah, so he drops back. Looks like he reads left here first, and so you have like a flat 7 right there. Actually, it turns into like a wheel, but you have a out and up there and a flat. So he reads 1 to 2, and then he's gonna go to the other side of the field. At least I believe that's what he's looking at. We'll see it from another view. Yep. Safeties. He might just check that deep safety in general to see, okay, this is really the only thing he wants, but that safety's going to gain depth on an out and up. With this guy underneath, he's not going to throw it there. Okay, it goes to the right side of the field. This is something you don't typically see from Rodgers. To start off the season, one, we didn't like the throw into coverage, right? That wasn't good. But coming back to the second part of the field, he's gonna read one to whoever's outside here in the two, and based on where this linebacker is and the middle of the field being open, this is typically a shot you see him throw over the linebacker to Cobb. So the hesitancy there is not ideal from Rodgers, and then pulls it back down to the left and tries to throw a ball. So you have him kind of bouncing through reads, seemingly just going 1 to 2 and then back to their side. I don't know if he ever reads Watson there, or whoever that. I believe that's Watson. Before going back to their side. So we see him kind of being hesitant and bouncing between reads, which we don't love. So he's struggling a little bit in this beginning of the Vikings game, but it's gonna happen. And especially with Rodgers, like, listen, his MVP season, 2021, he had a pretty bad game against the Saints to start the season too. So something we might see we've seen from Rodgers in recent years. Hopefully, it doesn't start out that season with the Jets here. But AR force 4th and 1. Okay, 3-by-2 empty. This is a scenario where reads the middle of the field to or left to middle of the field here first, goes to the right, and he's going to read most likely 1 to 2 to 3. And we see AR, who typically he'll it doesn't matter the season, he'll throw balls like this all the time. We saw that in the first 2 reviews where there's a linebacker, even with the tight end, he's throwing that ball up there and allowing the tight end to make a play. He does that here. The tight end is not able to catch the ball, which is unfortunate. It's a little bit of a force, but it's also a play we've seen him make before, right? So read the middle of the field. It looks like he's just checking Watkins or he's checking Watkins' route, see if Smith is going to stay over top. He does. Okay, he's going to go to the right side of the screen here. He's reading the tight end first, sees this relationship, which we've seen him do 1,000 times before. Throw up the ball, let the tight end make a play. The tight end is not able to make the play. Now, it's a good job by Kendricks getting his hand in there. But this is something that's not atypical from him to throw a ball like that. It just doesn't work out that time. Okay, it's a force. It's 4th and 1. Do you want to see him maybe get away with a cleaner throw? I do. I'm not sure why his eyes are bouncing around like they are, because on 4th and 1, what do you need? You need a yard. And on this concept to the left right here, okay, this isn't open. If he fires this ball in as the receiver is breaking, so okay, 1 over the top. Let's bypass that. Let's get through our reads really quickly, especially on a 4th and 1. Get to your running back setting it down. Throw it to him. I don't know why he doesn't throw that ball there. Never checks there. He goes to try to throw a harder ball, which obviously if it's caught, it's a touchdown. But let's get 1 yard or 2 yards on 4th and 1. So I don't love that play from Rodgers there. RPO, zip, arm angle. Okay, so we're definitely seeing more just in this first part of the review, at least more RPO than we saw under Hackett. So we have a 3-by-1. Yeah. So play action, or sorry, RPO. We have an RPO where it seems like this time he's reading White. So if White kind of hesitates, well, he's an option. If he hesitates, that's a gray zone. Hesitate, hand it off, or pull the ball, throw it to Cobb. AR pulls the ball, pumps, which gets White to bite flat because he thinks he's throwing it to Cobb right now. Oh, I'm going to jump that. I'm going to get that interception. Pumps him, which widens, flattens him. Boom, throws the ball right behind him. On the money, to Cobb's face, and then Cobb picks up some yak yardage here. Which actually Cobb's and you have the review of Cobb coming, but he's pretty fresh in my mind. Cobb is pretty damn good at finding yak angles. Cobb's not explosive anymore, but he's a pretty smooth player. Again, so we have Rodgers reads the backer. Backer's kind of in that gray zone. He wants to throw it though. Pump him, get behind him, kind of keep that back leg loaded, ready to throw that ball. Now the base is, now in terms of the mechanics, the base is not good here. He's overextended. This front leg is locked out, not allowing a clean weight transfer. Plus the fact that it's wide, but he keeps that back leg loaded. Throws, natural arm talent. Couldn't ask for a better throw from him before that safety gets there, which creates some yak opportunity there for Cobb. So Rodgers interception. ... Probably not a good one. 3-by-1. Okay, so this almost kind of looks like a miscommunication here because again he's going to read middle of the field, then he's going to read left. Again, most likely, I'm not saying 100%, but most likely you're going to see 1, 2, 3 here. And as he reads the one, we talk about this all the time in terms of receivers and how they should run routes, tight ends and how they should run routes. This just seems like a miscommunication thing, but he's undercutting Devin White, or yeah, I think it's no, that's David, right? Devin White's 45. So he undercuts Levante David, and here if you're breaking inside and he's over the top and behind you, what you don't want to do is take the route vertical because you're taking the route right back into the defender. If anything, you want to cut it really flat and run away from him. Run away from him. Now, it depends on the down. I can't see the down. Even if you were to cut this more flat, he's still going to have the first down. Even this is on third down. So we don't want to run a route and then take it back into where he's going or back into the defender. So I think Rodgers expects him to cut that route flat. So he throws the ball, here. That would be like in the path line that the tight end would have been if he cut it flat. Yeah. I think he expects him to cross these guys' faces instead of cutting him behind them. You have the safety who reads that and picks that ball off. But I think that's more of a miscommunication than anything. Again, reading the right side, checking the safeties, going through his reads, goes to the in, throws it. Again, where I think he expects the tight end to be. Otherwise, it's a very, very bad throw from Rodgers. So I think it's a miscommunication. Okay. Shit happens. I'm sure Rodgers did not like that one. AR miss window, not set. Okay, 2-by-2. Yeah, and again, this might be a thing where he doesn't have good chemistry with his receivers. Because based on his past history here, you have it works out. What's a spot concept here? You have the snag, you have the corner, and you have the flat. And Rodgers of the pass right here. Now I don't know if it's a chemistry thing with his receiver because you typically see him throw the ball into this window. But on a corner route, I don't know if he expects Dobbs to have that timing down with Rodgers and expect Rodgers to throw it into the window because you have Dobbs who looks for the ball and then turns it back into his route. And I don't know if he just has that timing and that trust with Dobbs. So he bypasses that, goes to the opposite side, checks the ball down. I would like to see him throw this ball. Now the thing is I don't know if he trusts his offensive line. I don't know if he trusts his team in general because typically you'd see him hang on to this read for a little bit longer and maybe even pump the snag to get this open because the problem is like initially when he goes to throw this again, maybe he doesn't have timing. Maybe he expects 35 to gain some ground and undercut this route. So that's why he comes off of that read. But typically you see him hang on to it a little bit longer, but based on the fact he doesn't trust his offensive line, is he just trying to rush through his reads because he knows that he's not going to be protected for long? Dumps the ball off. Okay. You dump the ball off for whatever that was, 5 to 7 yards, 7, 8 yards, whatever it was on second down. Okay. That's a much more manageable third down. But ideally, does he see this window, have some chemistry with his guy, put it on him or back shoulder? Potentially, or even hang on to that read. If he gains depth, don't throw it. Or throw this. If he gains depth, don't throw it, but throw this. There's a few options for him there, but he doesn't take it and check it down.